Patrick versus Rob. Both guys are hungry and looking for their first win in the bracket. And if you've seen any of Rob's matches, you know he's a pretty high energy guy. He likes to move around a lot. He likes to wrestle, go for the takedown. But so does Patrick, so I thought this would be an interesting match. Patrick seemed like he has a little bit of a height advantage, so let's see if that comes into play. He's able to get that single leg very nicely. Rob's on a guillotine, trying to defend. He should look to put that foot back on the floor, if possible. Pat's trying to hike it up, and that very nicely kick that other foot out. Gets his 2 points. Watch again, that was really nice. Usually if the guy's defending the single, he's kind of bouncing around on one foot, and Patrick timed it really nice to kick with his right foot and sweep the leg and put Rob down and get his 2 points. And from this point, Rob was able to reestablish his guard, get to close guard. From here, Rob should be looking to set up a sweep or a submission attempt. And close guard is definitely an awesome position, but it can be tough if you're a lot shorter than your opponent, in my opinion. If usually someone is a lot longer than me, I find I usually end up using open guards more often than not. And now Rob created some space and stood back up. Let's see if Patrick looks for the single leg again. This time he tried an arm drag. Patrick seems a little more, he seems quite composed here. He's really taking his time, letting things happen. I find sometimes when guys are wrestling, they almost feel so much pressure that they feel like they have to shoot, they have to go for something. But you almost want the opposite. You almost want to kind of let things happen, let someone take a bad shot on you, and then you can take advantage. And while I was talking, Patrick snatched up that single leg again. Rob's hard on that guillotine. If he wants to fully commit to the guillotine, he could look to pull, but instead he forces a front headlock situation. Now, if he could get hip to hip and control Patrick, that would be another 2 points. That would be a score for Rob. But Patrick's fighting to finish the single. This is the battle. Rob has to sprawl, get the leg free, and Patrick wants to finish the single. Rob tries to sit down and hit a throw, but Patrick countered nicely and ended up back on top. So that would be another 2 points for Patrick. And that puts him up 4-0 on the scoreboard. So at this point, if I was Patrick, I'd really be looking to slow things down. He doesn't have to be over-aggressive. In theory, he could just keep this side control pin the rest of the match and win by points. It's probably not what he wants to do. Most people want to look to try to get the submission. It's the kind of the most satisfying way to win a match. But in saying that, if you go against someone your own skill level, your own size, you're not necessarily going to get the submission every single time. So a dominant points victory is also nice. But Patrick's still going to look to keep passing. He's going to keep his posture up. Look to get his head a little bit further away from Rob here and use those hands to frame on the body and look to open this guard, either step over and force a half guard, which is a better situation to pass from, or force him into an open guard. It looks like Rob is hunting a Kimura, but Patrick's able to use his body to avoid it. Rob's looking to get back up again, and Patrick does a nice job of holding him down. He's got to be careful of that triangle. Rob was able to sneak his foot through. He's got Patrick in danger now. If I was Rob, he could also think about switching to an arm lock, but he's got to be careful because if you go too much on the triangle or too much on the arm lock, you might lose the opportunity. Patrick did the smart triangle defense, sit back and cross the ankles. Let's look at that setup again. So as Rob creates space, he goes back to guard, and then his right knee is going to come in front of Patrick's bicep. Then the foot comes over the shoulder. Now he's got the diamond, or the trap triangle. Rob had an opportunity to finish the triangle right about here. Patrick posts his foot. If Rob would have underhooked that leg, he really could have tightened the triangle and maybe got the finish. But he went 2 hands on the head. And 2 hands on the head can be good, but only when the triangle's locked. I can still see space between Rob's ankles and Patrick's head. So if I was Rob in this scenario, he might have been better off to bring the left leg over the face and attack the straight arm lock instead of the triangle, because it's slowly kind of slipping away. And now as Patrick brings the legs across, he's able to fall back and create some extension and break the lock and get out of the triangle. From that point, both these guys keep scrambling, both looking to get some type of control over the other. And now at this point, Rob's almost kind of upside down. Now, potential for Rob to attack the leg. But I know Rob doesn't really like leg attacks that much, so he's probably just looking to create a sweeping opportunity here. And Patrick has to look to bring a shin over across one leg. Now it's a different situation. Now it's almost a 50-50, but if Patrick could put his left knee on the floor and get heavy over top of Rob's left leg, he could get a leg drag happening. He doesn't want that leg passed over to the other side like Rob's trying to do, because you could potentially put yourself in danger for leg attacks. It's always good, and if you are forced to 50-50, if you can put that leg back over to the side that Patrick had it originally. But he's trying to control the hips. That's also a good form of control. If he can control the hips and look to maneuver his leg out of here. Now he's out of the 50-50 and is in a situation where he's in butterfly, but he has one hook pinned to Rob's butt. This is good for Patrick. He should look to try to move laterally to his right, get Rob's leg and knee on the ground, and then he could climb over top of it and start to set up the pass. But remember, the points is 4-0 for Patrick, so he doesn't have to rush. He doesn't really have to do anything. A lot of people in Patrick's position might just look to stall. Usually when someone is accused of stalling, they're just, playing it safe. But who hasn't done that in a grappling match? Sometimes you're tired. Sometimes you just need a break. It can't be action 100% of the time. You're not going to be able to have a match like that. So there's nothing wrong in my eyes with stalling in the right scenario. And in Patrick's case, if he is really tired, then now's the time to stall. He's up on points. He's on top. Rob's got to make something happen, and he's trying. He's really putting a lot of torque on his own knee and ankle. I would never recommend this attack, this go-go plata or rubber guard attempt, because you're just going to injure your own knee. I watched Altec injure his own knee doing that recently. It's not something I would ever show. But if you're hyper flexible, maybe that will work. But you got to try something. You got to go out fighting, and that's what Rob did. But Patrick's going to take that one on points. 4-0. Congratulations.